Welcome to the Right Path podcast, where being an actual author, still matters. Folks, this is the podcast that is for authors. It's about authors. It's done by an author. This is where we come together, we share our journeys, we explore our creativity, and we examine the why behind it all. My guest today is an incredible lady that every 5 minutes that goes by that I hear more about her story, I am more wowed by everything that I hear. She is a teacher, she's an author, she's a travel journalist and a circumnavigator, and she's the nautical novelist in everything that you can possibly imagine. She's got a slew of books that we're going to get into. We're going to talk about, I think, all of them today. So big treat for you, including a couple that have just come out recently. Please welcome to the show, Alison Gieschen. Alison, how are you doing today?
Outstanding, Rory.
I love that. What an answer. I'd expected nothing less, frankly. You have a borderline unbelievable story. So, where would you like to start with this incredible tale of how you got from where you were to where you are now?
Okay, so I was in college, and my mom decided when she and my dad retired to New Bern, North Carolina, she was going to be the fastest woman skipper in the Pamlico Sound. So she started racing her sailboat, and I would go on weekends and be in her races. And then one day, she was in this, well, not one day, but one weekend, she was in this big Michelob Cup Regatta, and I was going to go and join her for that. Now, meanwhile, my cousin worked at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, which is, 11 hours away from New Bern, North Carolina. But he sat next to a really handsome merchant marine engineer who was a three-time national dinghy champion. And he said to Dan, "Hey, Dan, come on down and be a ringer on my Aunt Jerry's boat." And I just happened to have an eligible cousin that's really cute, the Ivory Girl kind of girl. You'll love her. So they came down that weekend and we sailed, we windsurfed, we scuba dived, we canoed, we did everything on the planet and we had the best time. And we were sitting in a bar right before he was ready to go back to Philly and I was going to go back to Charlotte. And we're talking about our sailing experiences. And he said, someday I want to sail around the world. I said, me too, let's get married. So the fourth day we were together, after that, he proposed.
There you go. I mean, don't mince words. Just
Yeah.
boom, let's hit it.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so
So
that's how this started.
So a year later, we were married. His dad was a minister, and he married us on the country club lawn where we met. And unfortunately, we went back to up north and built a home and a horse farm because I also was into horses. And we started having kids right away. So there's no chance to do the sailing thing. I mean, we still went sailing and had a sailboat in the Chesapeake. But when our last child got married, we said, okay, it's time. So we made a 5-year plan, did the research, everything you need to do to sail around the world. And in 5 years, we had our boat bought, sold our house, everything we owned, and boom, we're on our way.
I mean, you say it like it's just so matter of fact. It's just like boom, boom, boom. I'm reading your story and I'm looking through this and I'm like 30 years with a horse farm and raising children and being, I mean, the picture of stability, really. And then just boom, sell everything and go sail around the world. Now, when I hear how you started, especially with hey, I want to too, let's get married. The impulse thing has sort of been a part of you two since the beginning, it sounds like.
Well, you know what the really strange part of this whole story is? When I was about, I guess, maybe 9 or 10 years old, I lived on a farm in upstate New York, nowhere near water. I mean, we had a pond that we ice skated on in the winter and the Hudson River, but I was not near water. And I was running through I can remember this like it's a movie playing in front of me at this very moment that I'm watching. It's that vivid. I was running through the grass barefoot out to go to the garden or something, and I had this epiphany, this vision of being on a sailboat and sailing across the water. And I just had to stop, and I'm just going, "Wow, this is the coolest thing ever. I want to sail. I want to sail. I want to sail someday." So I did what I had to do, run back into the house, and I said to my mom, "Mom, I want to learn how to sail." And she goes, "Okay, that's nice, honey." And didn't ask why, just but I actually thought, how cool would it be to sail around the world someday when I had this dream? Like I was so just taken by that vision. I thought, it would be really cool just to sail around the world. And so
Interesting.
that's I guess where it all started.
What was it about, like when you pictured yourself doing that? What was it about sailing around the world that really just sort of got you going?
Well, the first thing was a feeling of being on the boat and being driven by the wind, like being powered by the wind and just being like one with the ocean. And then my little brain just thought, what would be the greatest adventure be? And I guess my conclusion was to just go around the entire globe that way.
Interesting. So, what was it the different people and countries and things like that that you would see?
No,
Was
at
that what
nine,
about?
I didn't see any of that. I just thought it was cool as crap to just
Just
be on a
being
boat.
on the boat. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have done that. You've been to, what was this, 50, 57 countries? Am I getting
Countries
the,
and yeah, and four continents. Yep.
I mean, so you've definitely checked some boxes along the way
We
here.
we have definitely.
Okay. I love it. And now, did you start writing back when you were, on the horse farm? Is that when this whole process of writing began? Because, I mean, you are a serious writer. You've done a ton.
I'm prolific, yes. The first book I ever wrote, though, my mom called me up and said, I'm really tired of reading this trash. There's always like all these sex scenes and no good values. And in the, I have a really hard time picking up a book and just really enjoying the story without all the extra stuff in there that modern people have. She says, Alison, I want you to write me a book. I want you to have it this, and this in it. And I said, okay, mom. So I sat down and I was pregnant at the time and was not able to work. So in 4 weeks, I wrote the book beginning to end. And I submitted to the iUniverse and they loved it and they published it and it got the Rising Star Award. And it was exactly what my mom wanted in the book. And that was Blue Ridge,
Oh, my goodness. Okay. And that's your first book.
first book.
Now, had you been writing before that led your mother to say, I want you to write this book? Or she just out of the
No.
blue said, I see you writing a book. Let's do it.
Well, I was an English major and a teacher of writing. So I guess she figured I could do that.
Just blind faith. It's time for you to write me a book.
Yeah,
Nice. And so you did. And that's
I
the
did.
story. Everything, I love it. I love the fact that everything about you is just like, well, I wanted to, so we did.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
free. Have you
I
always been
don't,
this way?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not very introspective about myself or my journey or why I do what I do. I just live my life and, you know,
Yeah.
balls to the wall kind of thing.
I mean, wow. There are so many people who would be sitting in one place for 30 years, raising a family, and there'd be a million reasons why you can't go do something. It seems like you never consider the reason why you can't. You guys just say, well, then let's go. How do we do it?
Yes, exactly.
Nice. And that's how you live your whole life.
Most of it.
Most of it. What's it like being on, how long are you out for when you're on the water before you get to like sort of come back to, I don't know, whatever you consider to be your home base?
We try to come back once a year around the holidays if it's possible. Um, a couple years ago, we were in Lagos and Portugal, and we met our kids in the Dominican Republic for Christmas, so we didn't come home. So
Wow.
every once in a while, every few years, there's a reason why we don't go home. But we're home this year, and I have five grandchildren, so I think it's important that we show our faces once in a while. Although we do with technology, it's really nice because we do the video chat thing like weekly.
Yeah, that's cool. I was going to ask about that because with three kids, I mean, that there is, a downside to being gone all the
Hmm.
time, right? And that's got to be a little tough.
Well, it's it's exponentially better now that we have Starlink, so we have connectivity even in
Mm.
the middle of oceans. And my kids, one of them calls me every single day. Like, they give the kid their babies the phone because they call us boat grandma and boat grandpa. So boat grandma, here, talk to boat grandma because they want to cook dinner or something. And then their kids running around the house and they put me down and I'm staring at the ceiling for 5 minutes and the 18-month-old, he just throws the phone. He takes me and then runs into a room and just throws it. And I guess he doesn't like me very much, but I don't
Uh, well, at 18 months, you really can't judge anything.
know.
Don't take that too personally. So, five grandkids, you said?
Yes.
That is so fantastic. Congratulations on that as well,
Thank
because
you.
that's
Thank
just
you.
another amazing thing. I'm waiting on mine.
Oh,
Uh,
they're very special.
yeah, just got my kids married off. We had two weddings in 3 weeks, and now I'm like, okay,
Oh
all
my
the weddings are
gosh.
done. Thank you very much. I survived. You didn't kill me, even though you tried. So,
Wow.
yep, here's dad. Now let's give me some grandkids. Right, let's go.
Okay.
Come on.
Hurry up.
Right.
Snap, snap.
But that's amazing. What a blessing. All right. Now, so you're out there. Your first book, Blue Ridge. We talked about that. Now, when you first published that one, did you take that to a publisher? Did you self-publish? I'm not sure what the timing is around that and where we were.
Um,
How'd you get it out?
I think that I probably didn't submit it because it was my first book and I wasn't really confident yet or didn't think I had a name or in publishing it was so hard. I might have sent a few letters out and got no answers or rejections. So I went to iUniverse, which is I don't know. I don't know. Are they still? I didn't know if they're still in business. Have you heard of them?
I don't think they are. But man, that's ringing a bell. How long ago was that? How long ago are we talking about?
Like 25 years ago.
I was going to say it was a minute. Right. It's been a
Yeah.
minute. Yeah. So, I don't believe they are only because
Okay.
I haven't like heard that anytime recently, of course, but
But they don't take everybody's manuscript, so they are selective in who they choose.
okay.
So that it was kind of, I guess, a in between publisher, not a full publisher, because you still had to pay some expenses, but not as much as just doing it on your own type of thing.
Right. All right. So mom tells you I want a book. Here's what I want in it. And this becomes Blue Ridge. Gotcha.
Right.
Done deal. Perfect. Now you've got several others. You mentioned that you thought your favorite is Seven.
That's seven.
All right. Tell us about Seven.
The seven. It's an odyssey of seven horses and seven souls. And as you know, horses were part of my life. And my boat name is Equus, Equus, which is Latin for horse.
Of course.
And
Yep.
we have a horse head logo on the bow of the boat. And then we have a spinnaker, which is that giant sail that billows out in the front when you're going downwind. And there's a giant horse head on the spinnaker. So every time we fly the spinnaker, I just feel this connection to my sea pony. I'm like, yo, I don't give up. I didn't give up horses. This is my sea pony, and it's really cool. Um, so anyway, what was the question?
It's okay. I love it. We were talking about Seven. Yeah, we were talking about
Okay,
Seven.
so the seven was inspired by a dream that I had because gosh darn it, I had so many horses and it was always taking care of them. They show up in my dreams and I have to take care of them in my dreams. And it really pisses me off because I'm like, I'm not on a horse farm anymore, but at night I'm still feeding and taking care of them and getting the hay. But usually the horses in my dreams are the horses I know that I had. But this one dream was these very strange horses and they were acting really strangely. And I figured out in the course of the dream that they had the ability to see inside the human soul, whether a poor person was good or if they were not good. And it was so profound that when I woke up, I said to my husband, I'm like, Dan, this was the coolest thing ever. I have to write a book about this. So I did.
There you go. There it is again. So I did. I just did it. I love the attitude. It's so refreshing to hear. All right. And so that one, does that get published then after you write it? And what was the process like on that?
That one I did through a hybrid publishing company, and they loved it, and they published it, and it's on all kinds of formats that can be ordered by bookstores and all that kind of stuff, which is, much better than the self-publishing route.
Love it.
So that's it's doing very well so far, but hopefully as I continue to do podcasts, and I have four speaking events in the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
So
Okay. I
yeah,
mean, are those local? Are those in the States? Or are you
they're in the
speaking
States.
internationally now?
No, they're down south where my sister and my mom lived in North Carolina in Charleston. But it's
Nice.
it's all about my sailing journey though. People aren't, they're yeah, I write books, that's okay, but they want to hear the sailing stories. So I do a sea stories happy hour where I go and I tell some of my most crazy stories of our sailing adventure, and then I sell my books afterwards.
Nice. So the stories of the sailing adventure sounds like it brings us to our next book that I wanted to bring up, and that's your memoir that you wrote of Riding the Waves of Reality, Tales of Turmoil and Triumph, right? And so that's the
Correct?
first memoir that you put out. Is that what that is? Is sort of sea stories like what you tell on stage?
Some of them definitely, but it's also the whole process of selling the farm and moving on to the boat, finding the boat. I mean, it took us several years to just find the boat we wanted because it was a very specific brand of boat. And there was only 50 ever made. So every
Uh-huh.
time we found one that was for sale, before we could get there, it'd be sold. So it's a story of finally nailing one down through crazy, crazy background stories and, walking on it and looking at the boat after we'd looked at, 50 different kinds of boats and walking onto it and go, yeah, this is the one.
It's
And
amazing.
we secured it. And so that book covers all that. And then the actual going out. And then the sea story, probably one of our most popular sea stories for people to hear, not for me to tell, was our first ocean crossing, which We ended up in a perfect storm scenario. You've seen the movie The Perfect Storm,
Hmm.
where the storms compress the waves and they come
Right.
together. We got caught in that scenario, our very first ocean crossing, and had $14,000 worth of damage to the boat and had to come back shore. And we did a 500-mile loop over 5 days and ended 20 miles from where we started.
Wow. I mean, honestly, to me, that sounds like it would be absolutely terrifying.
Oh, it was. And then I had PTSD after that. I really did. Every time we'd be out crossing oceans and the weather would be worse than predicted because this wasn't predicted. I would get severe anxiety and everything. And that actually got resolved by another very interesting story, which I don't know if you want me to go into or not, because this is your podcast about books.
I would love to hear that story if you don't mind telling it.
Okay. So during our preparation, we would go to boat shows, and at boat shows, you have speakers. And there was a speaker named John Kretschmer who was doing a seminar on sailing in storms, which is my biggest fear. And I listened to this man speak for an hour, and I was just in awe of him. And had 5 books up on the table, published author. And as he was getting ready to leave, he said, I also do a training seminar where I take you out in the trade winds, 1,000 miles in heavy weather. You're going to get 20 to 30 knot winds for 10 days straight and do 1,000 mile. And you will know if you are cut out to do this. And I raised my hand. I'm like, Dan, I got to do this. This is not a want. This is a need because I have to know I'm going to be okay to get on a boat and be in the middle of an ocean. And there happened to be one slot left. So I went running up. I'm like, where do I sign? Give me the here, check right here. I need this spot. It wasn't cheap. It was, like $1,500 or something.
Hmm.
So I signed up and I was so, so, so excited. So it didn't come, we weren't going until like February that of the winter. It was several months away. And the closer it got, Dan got more and more upset. He's like, you're going to be out sailing across oceans in the Caribbean, and I'm stuck on this horse farm in the dead of winter. Well, a week before we were ready to go, he's like, I emailed John and asked him questions, and and I said, John, I'm all ready to go, but my husband is not a happy camper. He gets grumpier and grumpier knowing I'm sailing, through the Caribbean. He's not. And he goes, well, just so happens that somebody got sick and they can't go. I will give your husband half price if he'll just fill in that spot. So he drove up, and the wind is blowing and he slams the door and snow's coming in. And I go up with a rum and coke and I say, hi, honey. And he's like, all right, what's going on? I said, you're going with me. He's like, what? I said, a spot opened up. I already booked your plane ticket. You're going with me. And he was so excited. So we go on this 1,000-mile training passage together, and it was epic. It was wonderful. And John Kretschmer helped us pick the kind of boat that we wanted to find because he was a delivery captain. So he had been on every brand of boat known to man. He
Hmm.
goes, you guys want a Tazwell. So many great things came out of it. And he said, you guys are ready. You're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine. So fast forward to our first ocean crossing. We got the crap kicked out of us. I was terrified. We did get across to the Virgin Islands, but I was fearful all the way. I had so much anxiety. And when we got to St. Martin, I was saying to myself, okay, tomorrow's the day I'm going to tell Dan I can't do this. Like, you can get crew and cross and I'll meet you, but I can't do this anymore. So we pull into this harbor. There's 100 boats there. It's a big harbor. And you'll never guess who was 3 boats away. John Kretschmer.
There you go.
We called him on the marine radio and I said, John, it's Dan and Allison. We're 3 boats away. He's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Come over for happy hour. So we go over for happy hour and he's got a bunch of people on his boat because he's like a celebrity. So everybody who sees him knows who he is. So finally he turns around and he goes, so Allison, how's it going? And I start tearing up. I'm like, John, it's so awful. We were in this really big storm and we got the crap
Oh,
kicked out of us. And he starts laughing. And I'm like, what? Why are you laughing? He goes, do you know how lucky you are? I'm like, no. He goes, you got into this big storm. Your boat did fine. Your husband did fine. You're still out there. You're still going. He goes, do you know how many people that happens to? And the first thing they do is sell the boat. He goes, the chances of that happening to you again are like zero. You are going to be absolutely fine. And he was the only person in the world that could have looked at me, my mentor, my hero,
yeah.
that I would have believed it. And I got back on that boat and we did fine.
Wow. I
Yeah,
mean, that's quite the story. That would have wiped out most people.
yeah, it would have. It would have. It was 20-foot waves crashing on our boat. Our dinghy got ripped. The handrails it was tied to got ripped right out of the deck of the boat and put over the sidelines. It broke the sidelines, threatened to take our mast down. We lost a solar panel. Windsurfer, all our scuba gear, our dinghy was really bad.
Wow, sounds like it. I mean, just the idea of hearing this story, it is enough to keep me from ever getting in a boat, period. Let alone living on one and going, let me go cross the whole ocean in the thing. Has anyone ever like called you a little bit crazy?
No.
No, no one's ever said
Mm-mm.
you're crazy, huh?
Nope.
Okay, so I'd be the first if I said that to
Pardon me. I have a little bit of a cold.
you. Okay.
Picked one up at the airport on the way home. A cold at the
Oh,
airport. We
I
went through
see.
5 airports, 37 hours.
So you're not used to being around people as much
No, I'm not.
either. There you go. I got it. My goodness. So all this happens and you get healed. So you're back out at it. Now,
Right.
has that come back to you at all, or is that like really gone?
No, we've had some scary incidences,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like I have to give up anymore. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Good deal. That's okay. Hey, catch your breath. I understand. You get some tea over there, right?
I do, yes.
All right. Don't hesitate. Have that. The so now this whole story, this is in Riding the Waves of Reality, the first one.
Yes.
Okay, and
Yep.
that's kind of what the memoir's about. So when you go and you talk on stage, they want to hear about these stories like this,
Those are their favorites. They want to hear
yeah,
about the chaos. Yes,
the
definitely.
chaos, right? When you go to speak to these folks, when you go to speak to these folks, are they considering going to do the same thing? I mean, what types of groups are you talking to about this sort of thing?
No, I don't think any of them are potential sailors. I think it's just people that like to hear life stories, just, interesting stories.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. The now you wrote this memoir. You said that you just released the second one, right?
Yes, and again, if you notice the theme of the title, mayhem and magic. So we got the turmoil and triumph and the mayhem and magic, because the common theme of our sailing journey is that there is a lot of chaos and mayhem involved.
Right. So, like you said, the Riding the Waves of Reality, the second one, then is called Mediterranean Mayhem and Magic.
Yes.
Okay, so these are additional stories. This is a continuation, then, of the things you were going through, or is there anything in there that's a little bit different?
No, it's just a continuation of the journey from after we left Lagos, Portugal, which we arrived there because we had another epic failure out at sea and had to
Oh
have
my gosh.
repairs. Yeah. That's, like I said, a very common theme. Um, and going into the Mediterranean was just like a dream because, I mean, who does not want to sail through all the countries in the Mediterranean?
Hmm.
But the sailing itself was a nightmare. They've got these katabatic winds that go crashing through and they're unpredicted and they just cause chaos. And we know a couple people have actually lost their boats. They've, been in a marina or at a harbor, and these storms come through and just take boats out. So you always have to be aware of that. And so there's either no wind or too much wind. Um,
Hmm.
but the countries and the Greek islands and the sites and the islands are just absolutely incredible.
I can only imagine. I mean, honestly, especially from the water and the way you're experiencing it that way, I
Hmm.
would think it would be absolutely beautiful.
Yep,
So,
it is. So that's basically our story of the Med. But there is some mayhem in it because we lost our autopilot, which is what steers our boat. We don't hand steer through oceans anymore. So we got stranded in Cape Verde, which is a little tiny country off the coast of Africa, for 3 months waiting for a new autopilot. And that was a lot of fun. Did you hear the sarcasm in that?
a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah. Just a touch.
Yeah. So, yeah. So there's, like I said, there's a lot of mayhem in that story as well as the beauty.
Yeah. If you'll pardon me, just digressing for a moment, because, yes, we talk about books, but it's really about the author's story. And I'm just curious. I mean, when your car breaks down, you got a mechanic on every corner. You pick somebody, you get over there, maybe you get towed. Your boat breaks. What in the world do you do? How do you get to, what do you?
Well, first of all, you don't leave without having a plethora of spare parts.
Okay.
So you should have something on your boat to fix every major system. But there were, some times where we had to get towed into a port because the things were not fixable. We had to get towed into Bermuda because we got some bad gas, and when we got pulled out in one of the Virgin Islands to get boat work done, and there was an algae bloom and it clogged up all the fuel lines, so we literally couldn't start our engine.
Hmm.
Um, so there are towing. We have an emergency towing service. It's part of our insurance. Um, and then sometimes something breaks that you don't have a spare part. So I do want to point out that we have been in 5 different countries for 3 months or more waiting for spare parts.
What are you doing during that 3 months? Just like
Exactly.
living on the boat, just waiting? I mean,
You're just waiting. You have a choice. You can fly back to the US and get it, but that's really expensive because then you got plane fares back and forth. But I did fly home once to bring back a water maker membrane because your water maker gives you all your fresh water on the boat, and that's really important. And it was so expensive to ship it that it was better for me just to fly home and visit my mom and pick up the water maker part, fly back. But um, you're expected to be there for a couple days or a week, and then all of a sudden you're there for 3 months. The beauty part is wherever your boat is that's your home. So, you're still in your home. You're still in this beautiful country that you haven't seen. So what do? You go sightseeing. We have collapsible bikes. We get on our bikes and we do bike rides everywhere. We get on the bus to the metro and we go visit remote villages, or so it's just part of the experience, part of the journey, and you accept it because your timeline is not your own. My husband planned our route out before we left, and we have never been anywhere we thought we were going to be, even within a year of when he thought we would be there.
hmm, ouch. Okay.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
there's so much uncertainty to that life.
Yes, that's why I have this attitude that I do, because if you don't have that attitude, you would hate it. You would absolutely hate your life.
It's really like otherworldly hearing the whole thing. Being somebody like me who could never do it. No way. Uh-uh. No, I'm a total control freak. I couldn't even imagine a day in your shoes.
Oh,
So I give you all the credit in the world. Somewhere in the middle of all of this and layovers and broken boats and magic and mayhem, you decided you were going to write 3 children's books.
yes, because, well, Vienna is my favorite of my children's books. Julia's Vaulting Dream, I taught a sport called equestrian vaulting, which is gymnastics on the back of a horse.
Wow.
Actually dates back to the Greek and Roman times when they would do these exercises on horseback to train the military to fight from all different positions on the horses. And it became so much fun that they put it in the very first Greek and Roman Olympics. So, hundreds of years passed and vaulting stayed intact and became a sport, but it was mostly in Europe. And back, I think, in the 1960s, it came to the US and became one of the 7 disciplines of the recognized, riding disciplines in the United States Equestrian Federation. And it was only on the West Coast. Then it did come to the East Coast and in bits and drabs. And my sister told me about it, she also has a horse farm. And I'm like, Carol, I don't want to do this. This sounds awful. But she didn't take no for an answer. And she brought a horse and a surcingle to my farm on my Saturday when my kids were, getting riding lessons. And my daughter was 3 at the time. And the moment my daughter saw that you could stand up on a horse and not get in trouble, it's the only thing she ever wanted to do.
Oh my
Would
word.
not sit in a saddle, would not put reins in her hands. I'm like, crap, I gotta learn this sport. So for 25 years, I dedicated my life to creating this equestrian riding program. And in 2018, my daughter went to the World Equestrian Games and took 8th in the world.
Oh my gosh, that's so fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It was just another dream thing, but it was, again, one of those things where I didn't really want to do it, but my daughter really wanted to do it. And my riding lesson kids too said, "This is the coolest thing we've ever seen. We got to do this."
Nice. So you just decided, all right, well, let's do it.
So the book, Julia's Vaulting Dream, is a little girl who has a dream about the sport. It's of somebody standing on a horse. She goes, "Mommy, I keep having this dream, somebody's standing on the horse." And the mom explains, "Well, we were visiting a horse farm and there was actually somebody standing on a horse. It's called equestrian vaulting." So it's her journey of finding a team and competing in the sport and then going all the way through to get her gold medal and walking back into her third grade teacher's classroom where she did the report and showing the teacher her gold medal.
That's really, really adorable. All right, I love that. That's Julia's Vaulting Dream. Now you've
Right.
got two others. You mentioned Sienna. That just came out, right?
Yes, it did. And that's again close to my heart because my husband and I are scuba divers.
Hmm.
And life under the ocean is so incredible. Like you have no idea until you're down there and you're diving with it. And you have creatures visiting your boat and dolphins swimming by the bow of your boat. And you see whales slapping the water with their tails and giant manta rays going under your boat in schools and the phosphorescence at night. And um, it's just so close to my heart that I was able to bring that magic into my story of Sienna. And all of the sea life mentioned in the book is real. And at the back of the book is a glossary with a real photo and then the descriptions about each sea creature that's mentioned in the book.
Wow. Okay. I mean, the one you didn't mention is the one I'm the most worried about, and that would be sharks. So, yeah.
Sharks are not as evil as people think they are. Um, they actually don't have any interest in eating people, especially if you're down there with them in their environment. Like they don't just go eat fish their size, and a human is a big, a person. They go after the unhealthy ones or the ones that are, in bait balls swimming around. They don't. They're not going to just come take a bite out of you. So you just go down there with that perspective, and they're just really cool animals. Like we just went diving in the Galapagos when we went to the Pacific. We actually had to make an emergency landing, so we had another epic failure in the Galapagos, and we got to go diving with the schools of hammerhead sharks, and that was like one of my favorite experiences ever.
I'm going to have PTSD after this interview because I cannot
I
even
apologize.
imagine that. I mean, if I saw a shark somewhere, I would probably just lose it. I'm not sure I could even move. I would I'm such a land-loving guy. I can't even imagine
Uh,
this whole thing. Okay, so aside from swimming with the sharks, Sienna is actually about a mermaid then.
Correct. But it's got really good values, a lot of family, a lot of responsibility, ecology, things affecting the ocean. So it's a learning experience for children. Being the teacher in me, I, incorporated that whole aspect of, good values and family and decision making and things like that.
Nice. Now you mentioned being a teacher. You told me you've got teaching manuals. They go along
For
with this book and one other one, right? Seven?
Right. With Sienna, I have a teacher's manual with activities and all kinds of um, the vocabulary, everything aligns with the core curriculum content standards, which teachers have to teach by. And I also made one for the seven because I think it would be an excellent book to have in a high school curriculum. And a sailing friend of mine actually works in the international school systems that teach English. And she's submitted it to the international schools to use in their program to teach English. So I'm hoping that book gets in there.
Nice. Nice. And then it looks like the one that started your journey on children's books was The Legend of Altor. Is that correct?
Actually, I think Julia's Vaulting Dream was first.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then The Legend of Altor is a very heartwarming story with some magic in it and wizards and it's about bullying though because my son was bullied really badly in school
I'm sorry.
and it affected me a lot because I was actually a teacher at his school that he was being bullied and I couldn't even stop it. And it got so bad I had to take him out and homeschool him. So this
Wow.
is about a little girl who was bullied and her dad was a minister and they moved to a new state and the bullying started all over. And so it's her journey of overcoming using a magic talisman, but eventually she finds her own strength and is able to find her own battles and passes it off to somebody else who needs it.
Wow. All right. I mean, I've got to know, as you're writing these books, most of the authors that I talk to, and when I wrote my books, there's someone that you're writing a book to, or there's someone that you're writing a book for. And with the different types of books here, I'm wondering, if that applies. When you're writing the books, for instance, the children's books, are you writing those to or for someone in particular while you're writing them, speaking to somebody?
Um, well, I just the vaulting is such a unique story, and the sport is so unique. And my daughter, it just changed the entire course of her life and who she is. So that obviously I had her in mind, but I wanted other children who have heard of it or looking see the word vaulting in a story and look it up and find it, be able to see her journey because it does parallel her life.
Yes.
Um, and the Altor was obviously because I was so um, it was so poignant for me to have a character who overcame bullying and became out stronger as a result of it. And I think my son did too, because he's doing it really amazing now and amazing things. And then I think the one that relates most, though, to people I know is the seven, because every single character or location in that book has a deep personal meaning to me. And it's from seven different locations around the world, but it's based in fact, I did hours and hours and hours of research about the histories and the cultures. And so all the facts in the book are real, and all the locations are real. And every character is a real person to some degree. That's all I can say about that is that it's either somebody I know or somebody I knew about.
Nice. Okay. No, hey, we don't want to get into the secret sauce of the book. So if people want to do, they can read it, they can buy it, they can read it, they can figure it out for themselves.
but but they will learn something because I learned a lot. I'm a world traveler and I still learned a ton about these places and the cultural stories and things. And every breed of horse is real. And on my author website, I have a story behind the story. So if they want to know where did she get this character from, they can read where I got the character from and read the history of that breed of horse and why I used it. So when we went to the French Polynesian Islands for the first time and we have our cross, it took us a month to get across the ocean and we anchor our boat and we go off to our first island exploring. This herd of horses just walks up. We had a car to our car. We roll down the window and they're sticking their head in. And I'm looking at these horses like, oh my gosh, I know your ancestors. I know all about your ancestors. And I know that the horses in these islands came on Spanish ships and they crashed on these islands and the horses swam to shore and it started these colonies of horses in the French Polynesians. So I was able to look at them and see their physical appearance and go, oh my gosh, I know who your grandparents are. Your great, great, great grandparents are. It's just really cool.
from the research you did for the book.
Yes.
That's just awesome. That's amazing. You're talking about the research that you do for it. I mean, these are very different types of books that you write, which just goes to how talented you are at this whole thing. But by the same token, many of these could require maybe a different process. Do you have different processes for the different book based on how you're writing it, or is your process very similar, in terms
It's
of how you go about writing?
exactly it's exactly the same. I have
All
no
right.
outlines, I have no notes. I just sit down and the stories play like a movie in my head and I write them down. Like that it spills out so fast that I'm just writing and typing as fast as I can and it just comes out and I'm at times I am totally blown away by the twists and the turns. Like I don't even see them coming and then like holy crap, that's amazing and then I just keep writing. But it's like just a consciousness, a stream of consciousness, I want to say. And I can't explain it. And I know it sounds really weird, especially coming from somebody who's probably a much better writer than I am, but I just sit down and the stories just flow out of me like a movie.
Okay, that's funny. But no, I love that. So, do you set aside a certain amount of time or time of a day, or is it just whenever it hits you, you sit down and let it out?
Yes,
Yes, that one. All right, got it.
that one.
I love that. Okay. There are writers all over the place as they're listening to this right now, just gnashing their teeth, going, okay, I wish I had that ability right now to be able to just get that stuff to come through you. Where do you think that comes from?
My ADD personality. You said I'm all over the place, so that's just. But what's really interesting is that yesterday I was talking to my mom. She's 95 now.
Oh,
She's still
wow.
living on her own, and she's the person that got me into sailing. And for 95, she's still a pretty sharp old lady. And she was looking up YouTube videos, and there's a YouTube video of a man, she said, that died three times. And at one point, he was dead for 2 hours, and he still was revived and came back. And he was up in heaven, and he was talking to God. And when he got to heaven, he was in this grassy field. And she described the grassy field. And she goes, and horses started coming running up to him in this grassy field in heaven. And it was the horse that he had known in his past. And she described exactly the chapter out of the seven.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
I was
Does,
really taken back by that. I was like I got chills. I'm like, the mom, that is so weird. Like, I just can't even describe it.
You have a lot of these things that sort of just line up for you.
So the theme of my life is I'm exactly where I need to be when I need to be there. And in my books, there's reoccurring themes of incredible coincidences or destiny or fate or wherever, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
of being somewhere and something really incredible happening when we were not supposed to be there, even be there. And it's a very, very common thread in our lives. So this is definitely a journey of destiny or fate or whatever you want to call it. But um, I'm just blown away all the time. And that's part of my attitude about not being upset because we're not somewhere that we plan to be, because I know we're exactly where we are when we need to be there. So why stress anything?
Nice. Nice. I love that. All right. So, to be able to surrender to that, I mean, do you feel like you've been called to do this and sort of just live your life the way you are and to write these books the way that you do?
Well, if anything about my vision when I was 9 years old, leading to marrying, finding somebody who would agree to marry me and sail around the world, I would have to say that it's definitely a calling.
Yeah,
And it hasn't been an easy or idyllic process. There's been a lot of bad things that have happened in certain places and times, but life is about taking the good with the bad. And as long as you have faith that you're on the right path, you can kind of get through the tough patches because you're on a path that you're meant to be on.
for sure. That's a great message all by itself right there. So I appreciate you sharing that. The what does the future look like for you and your husband? Is this a till death do us part? We're going to keep sailing the world, or is there an end date to this and another plan? I mean, I don't know, world domination, or you know,
Yeah, that would not be me.
you
um,
know.
yeah, people ask us, what are you going to do when you're done? And we have zero answer to that question because we always kind of joke that when we get, we plan on finishing on the west coast of the United States because my daughter lives in California and we'd love to sail up to San Francisco and put our boat in a harbor there. And I'm like, Dad, when we see that harbor coming up and we know it's the end of our journey, let's just like jump off into the water and just end it there so we can not have to worry about anything. But we don't even know if we're going to get there or if we'll go somewhere else or if that our route will change between now and then. So we do not think about tomorrow. We just take one day at a time and we'll know our path when it presents itself, when it stands up in front of us and goes, "Come here," and that's when we know where we're supposed to be.
If I was going to bet my paycheck on something, that it would have been that answer right there. I have no idea. We're going to figure it out as we go, and you know
Yeah,
what? It'll come to us.
all we can do at this point, really.
So let me ask you a couple of little technical questions about the books and stuff. You mentioned earlier that you were involved with the hybrid publisher when you got going. Is that still what you're doing, or are you into self-publishing, or are you with a publisher?
No, I'm into self-publishing because I haven't been successful. It's not that I haven't tried, but nobody likes my books enough to publish them, so I don't know. Or I'm not very good at it. I don't know. I don't know. That's why, I'm not going to come in here and say I'm the world's up and coming next novelist because you get kind of defeated when you spend years submitting books and nobody even answers your letters. I know Stephen King did what, years of and J.K. Rowling, both of them had all those
Hmm.
rejections. I'm
Exactly.
just I can only be rejected so many times, and I'm like, you know what? I can get it in print, self-publish it. Let's just do that.
Nice. I mean, at that point, the book is done. It's out there. Now it can go do some good, right?
We hope so.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. It's, I don't know how you can say that, you haven't been successful. I'm looking at this list of books that you've put up. I mean, this is amazing to have done this many books and completed them and published them and put yourself out there like that.
Well,
Um,
as being I don't know if being prolific is necessarily a sign of being great. It just means you're, adamant about it and you're going to do it one way or the other, and that's what I am. And someday, if somebody recognizes me, I'll be excited and very pleased and very surprised.
I love that. I usually ask this question, but we're kind of there now. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it. What has to happen? What does it have to look like? What does it have to feel like? What needs to be accomplished for you to feel like your writing and your journey with your writing has been a success?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess for a traditional publisher to say, "Hey, we really like your book. Can we publish it?"
Okay, so that's kind of the bar. That's where you have it set. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to happen if just publishing them and sticking them on the Amazon, but we'll see.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, you're working on teachers' manuals to, work through schools, and you've got all these different genres that you're writing in right now. I wouldn't doubt anything when it comes to you. And I haven't known you that long, but my goodness, if anybody could do it, it's going to be you, Allison.
Well, in a couple of years, if you're still doing podcasts, get in touch with me and I'll let you know if it happened.
Well, I've been doing podcasts for a really long time. So if I'm not doing podcasts in 2 years, it probably means I'm dead. And then, so you will have trouble finding me if I'm not doing podcasts. But I have a pretty good idea of my past. So I'm not waking up tomorrow trying to figure it out. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. But the life that you're living is just absolutely amazing. And the story that you have getting here is incredible. The books that you've done are just magnificent, and it's a huge accomplishment for you.
Well,
So
thank you.
I
Thank you.
hope that you feel that way and that you have some kind of grace for yourself. The work you've put in is just amazing.
Well, I have a lot of time to do it because, when you cross oceans and you don't see land for a month at a time, your computer's your best friend.
Wow. All right. How do people reach you?
So I have an author website, AlisonGieschen.com, and it lists all my books. And then I have a sailing blog, which I update regularly. And I'm an avid photographer, so I do a lot of photos and things.
Okay.
Um, and that's
That's Sailmates.
Sailmates, like soulmates, but Sailmates, and it's .org.
Okay. Got that one. Got that one. We'll make sure those are both in the show notes. All
And
right.
I do an Instagram post and Facebook and
Okay.
Twitter and Threads and all that good stuff.
Are you just under your name on that, like at your name, or do you have
Usually Sailmates is involved in the name,
Sailmates? Okay. So if we're
except
if we
for
search for that,
except for X. X is Alison Gieschen.
got it. So you're all over the place in social media.
I'm all over the place.
I love that. All right. Good deal. So putting the word out. I love that. All right. Last question, and I'm going to let you, go back to this just amazing life that you're living. Um, let me just say you've been through a ton with your journey. You've been through a whole lot with writing all these different books. And what is one good piece of advice that you feel like you can give to an author who has not accomplished what you have accomplished in this field?
I have to just say, writing has to be a journey of faith, like life. And if you're inspired to write something, you need to take that step and you need to just plow forward and know that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But if you don't get it down and you don't try, it's never going to happen. So just go for it and trust in the process and don't have expectations. Let life lead you where it's going to lead you.
Wonderful. Love that advice. Thank you for closing us out that way. Um, Teacher, author, travel journalist, circumnavigator, the nautical novelist, Alison Gieschen. Alison, thank you for being with us today and sharing this unbelievable journey with everybody. And all of my best to you with whatever comes up for you tomorrow. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me, Rory. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. Folks, this has been another episode of the Right Path Podcast, where the truth still counts and words still have power. This is the place where authors know that every page is a step forward. So let's lift each other up, let's dust ourselves off, and let's move forward together.